Okay. Okay, another 30 seconds. Okay, the next piece here, right? So we're going to jump in. We're going to jump into some feedback. And so what I'd like to do here in the next piece, so when you lead off, I'm going to have you state what kind of feedback you would like. If there's something that you're not sure about, then you're going to rattle right through. What does work mean to you in a couple sentences? Why do you do it? What makes work good? And then just share the outline. Again, it doesn't have to be a polished story, but what are you thinking about? What are the components that you would put in to that story? All right, and then the feedback is going to be, we're going to summarize it. I'm going to determine, is the person describing their views, are they using possessive language, I and we? And if they use language that is going to determine whether their view complements or clashes, right? And then certainly we want to address their particular feedback. So this is what I've been thinking. One of the more favorable aspects of this course when people look back on it is all the small group stuff that is done. And I want to keep doing that. But I think in some things we're kind of losing out a little bit when we fragment. So I want to do a couple things differently over the next few days. The first one is, and I will start to do this anyway, I'm going to have somebody lead off and do a presentation or something to the entire group, right? So there'll still be feedback. The rules of feedback and presentation still apply. The reason I want to do that is because I want to model the feedback for everybody, right? And so I know what I think is important to get out of these experiences, not only in the short term, but getting you ready for what's going to happen in the next step. So I'll have an opportunity to work with you and to model the feedback and what I'm thinking with the first person. And then what I will do is, rather than putting you in small groups, I'm going to put you in pairs. And I think that might improve the interaction a little bit better if it's just one-on-one instead of 3 people and trying to kind of negotiate that on a screen. Again, I have no idea. I have no idea if this is going to work any better or not. I do have a good sense that the modeling piece is going to work, but it requires somebody to model. No, next week when we are in the classroom, I'm going to use this technique even more when we're in the classroom because of how awkward it is going back and forth between the groups when some people are in the class and some people are not, right? So I'm just going to ask you as you're doing your feedback to be prepared as you roll in. And I'll always give you an opportunity to prepare your notes, especially if I give you something new like I did today. It won't be an opportunity to put the whole thing together, but it will, like, to kind of compose yourself and to get ready. So who would like to give us a view, give us their work view and a story to lead us off?
Could go.
All right, Evan, you are using your opportunity to lead off for the rest of the month. So thank you.
Okay. So work for me is.
What would you like some help on? What would you like us to pay attention to? Is there anything you particularly want some feedback on?
Nothing specific. I guess if you have feedback, I'd be happy to hear it. I don't have anything that I'm going in looking for now.
All right, if you change your mind at the end, let us know. So you know what, that didn't go great. Would you? So you're always free to ask. Okay.
So work for me is doing what I can to help provide for myself and my family. It's kind of been the mentality growing up, learning through what my family's been through and stuff. And good work is using my talents and skills to effectively do what I'm supposed to do, what I've been asked to do, or what I've set out to do. And I think that my work view came from living around the world and experiencing different cultures, especially through my dad's job as a diplomat. This kind of heavily influenced this. He was always like away from home, working, always on trips, going to different parts of the country we were in, providing for the family. And my mom was usually at home taking care of myself and my brothers. So yeah, I think that kind of the way I was brought up heavily influenced my work view.
You're muted.
Yeah, so I'm scribbling down some notes on a napkin. Okay, what kind of feedback do you have for Evan? Evan, again, thank you for leading us off. What's Evan's work view?
Sorry. His work view is family centered. So providing for himself and like his family, like his future family.
Okay. I would agree. Evan, did he correctly characterize your view of work?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Why does he do it? What makes good work? Evan, why do you do it? What makes good work for you?
Just, I guess, using all my resources to do what I've put out to do. I'm not sure.
So good work for you is like, I'm not leaving anything on the table. Like anything I can do to get what I need to get done.
Yeah.
That's good work for you. Okay. What's Evan's family been through?
Evan's family traveled a lot
Okay.
for his dad. And so he's seen a lot of different cultures and everything like that.
Can you name any?
Me?
No, Carson. Juan, Isabella, can you help him?
He's talking to you.
Well, I don't know what else to say.
That's okay. Evan, what cultures and countries have you and your dad been exposed to? Name some.
I lived in Paris, France for 4 years. I lived in Naples, Italy for 3. I lived in Finland for 3. San Diego, DC, and Belgium.
Okay. So like in my mind, I mean, everybody's thinking of the tower and everybody's thinking of pizza and everybody's thinking of, Winter Wonderland and the beach in San Diego. I'm thinking of Belgium. So I'm thinking maybe your dad was in NATO and that might be a question I would ask. Was he?
Yeah,
okay.
He worked at Shape, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So think the difference between different cultures and different countries and what you just said. Right. So I think that's a great example of there's a pronoun there and there's like a global term, but as soon as you're more specific, my mind starts running wild. Right. And we've connected because, I lived with a guy who was in the UN, or excuse me, who worked for NATO. Right. One of my good friends from high school was the chief of staff for NATO. Right. So that there's a connection, right, because of what you said. And it might not have been. Your dad might have had a completely different job, but you probably would have known about it. Like, so there's a connection there. And so now when you talk about different parts of the country, I know really you're talking about 2, at least, right? You've been East Coast and West Coast, right? DC and San Diego. Where else?
That's it.
Okay.
That's it, yeah.
Okay. Tell me a story that exemplifies the way that you were brought up. You said that this kind of reflects the way I was brought up. How does it reflect? How does your work view what your family has been through? And you need to do everything you can for your family. How does that reflect the way that you were brought up?
Well, when I was in Paris, my dad went on deployment on an aircraft carrier for like 6 months. So it was like my mom and my 2 brothers, and we kind of had to take care, like I had to help my mom take care of my brothers and stuff while my dad was away at work.
What was that like? What did that feel like?
I don't know, a lot of responsibility put on me, but you know, a learning experience. It was good. It was different, but it wasn't bad. But it was a lot of work.
How do you view your classmates that are without their parents right now, based on that experience? What do you do? How do you view them? Is there a connection there?
Yeah, I mean, we're all away from home. We're all at college. I mean, not all of us, but most of us are like maybe even on the other side of the country. So I guess we can all like bond over that.
Yeah, and maybe there's empathy, or maybe you look at like, so again, I don't want to get out over my skis because I have no idea other than what you guys write to each other, right? And the feedback that you get and what you write down. But my sense is that value of family translates to what you're doing here, right? So your story was on, you've got a great, and this is the thing, you've got an awesome story to tell, right? Very clearly about how you were brought up, where you were brought up, what your experiences were like, how it's impacting what you're doing now, how you view your life and your work view, right? And so just by adding those details that to you are, you know, kind of throwaway things. Yeah, I can rattle off the 7 or 8 places we lived. Those are important. Do people see that? Right, so again, I can't, there's a great example of how a good story can be made even better, right? And you can start to connect. And it's just more interesting. Like, raise your hand if you've been to Paris. I have not. I'm watching a TV show now, Lupin, that's based in Paris, but I've never been to Paris. Right? That's interesting. Or if you've been there, you can talk about restaurants and stuff. Right? Everybody knows something, or Belgium, or San Diego. Okay. All right, what I'm going to do, let me see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So I'm going to create 6 groups of 2. Okay. Actually, let me do this first. Is there anybody else that wants to share their story with the group? It's a tremendous opportunity to get feedback from everybody on this.
I could share mine.
Thank you, Juan.
So my work view is also it's similar to Evan's. So I put work, it's a part of growing up and being responsible and mature. Also, the work for me is like a way that like helps you expand your mental capacity and your role in society, and providing like making your mark also, like other than just like supporting your family in the future, like me, you know. And was the other question like an experience, right? Okay, so an experience would be or a reason why that's my work ethic or my work view is because my grandfather, he worked from a young age. He didn't go to college, and he was very mature. So he did a successful business operation and like a venture, which is why I can go to college right now. So I don't have to pay anything because of his maturity and his success. So that's like one of my reasons of just trying my best and being mature, so I can do the same for my children and my grandchildren.
What does everybody want to know right now? What's the one question you want to ask Juan? Alex, what is the one question you want to know after that story?
Maybe what business his grandfather.
That's what I want to know. What'd your grandfather do, Juan? Was it legal?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Sorry.
So my grandfather, my grandfather has several government contracts in Puerto Rico. So he builds buildings, and then that's the government comes in and like rents them out for government like offices and like the FBI and all that stuff.
Did he build any buildings in Vieques?
In Vieques, no.
You know why?
So is your question because of the military in Vegas?
No, there's only been one building built in Vegas in the last 50 years. It was the W Hotel. There's no buildings in Vegas.
Okay.
Okay. What other feedback do you have for Juan? What's Juan's work view? Why does he work? What's important to him? What do you think, Evan?
Just like being responsible and mature. I think that's what he said.
Okay. What else? What else you take away from that? Nick?
Oh. What I like what questions I have? One of the questions.
Sorry, I thought you raised your hand. I wasn't picking on you.
Oh no, I didn't. My roommate's doing Chinese homework, so I didn't want to speak, disrupt him.
Oh, okay. What else? Hadi, what do you think?
Kind of how he said, like how his how he saw how his family supported each other, like how he wants to do that for his family in the future.
Yeah, I kind of took away there's kind of a giving back. So certainly he's had some modeling, right? And he's very committed on kind of living up or perpetuating that model by which he was given by his parents, his grandfather, and then giving back. I mean, that's something that struck me as well. Juan, are we characterizing that appropriately?
Yeah. Yeah, just like seizing all opportunities is one of my main things, like not being scared. I'm a very outgoing person, and that's just because I don't want to miss any opportunities that are presented to me. So that's one of the
It's a very entrepreneurial mindset, and you can kind of see where that came from, right? Like there was an entrepreneur that's making all this possible. Okay. All right. So that's a process I'd like you to go through. You've had some time to put it together. It should be about 2 minutes of kind of giving your deal, 2 minutes of feedback, and then switching. I'm going to keep you on the clock. Of course, I'll pop in and out as I can. What I might do is I'm going to create 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So I'm going to create 5 groups. Evan and Juan, I'm going to throw you into another group, and you can provide feedback to the other people in that group since we've given you group feedback. All right. So just give me a second to pull all of that together. Okay, I think I got it.
Oh my god.
Class ends in like 5 minutes.
Wait, so are we in the regular thing now?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, this is so bad. What?
I don't even understand it.
Oh god. Well, now everything's being recorded too, so.
Um, I mean, I'll just text Hottie because I think that he's still, obviously, he's still in his breakout room.
Oh yeah, ask him. It's so bad.
So we all like geek so hard because Oliver like is just the weirdest person, and like he makes us laugh so hard like about everything. And Hottie was texting me and he's like, "Oh my god, bruh, I literally have Oliver as my partner. Let's fucking go!" And like all caps. It's just funny because like he's just like, if you get to know him, he's like awkward, but like a funny awkward. Like it's hard to describe. But hold up, wait, is he still in the breakout room? We're in. Gosh, class ends in 4 minutes.
Oh no, it ends at 2:55.
Oh, 2:55. Fuck.
Yeah.
That's not good. I mean,
Our conversations are being recorded right now too, so. Yeah.
wait, so did they record me talking about the whole situation with you know who?
I don't know if it records it in the breakout room, but
Oh, that's not good. Yeah, I think yeah. Well,
it's
whatever.
it's recording now because we're in the regular room.
That's true. I mean, if they out me, I don't care. Whatever. That's fine.
Oh god.
He's
How do you
not-
ever?
Bro, so Hottie's saying like, why are you in the main room? And I'm like, because we finished talking.
I'm so confused.
I'm like, are we supposed to do something? Oh,
Now, every time I jump into a room, I have to ask myself a question. I'm going to signal here. I'm meaning to be funny here. I'm trying to figure out if Ethan or Evan stole the cookies every time I get back on, because they're always smiling and they're looking like they stole the cookies every time. And the funny thing is I just left Evan, so I know it's probably not him. There we go. Okay, I want to get into, so number one, somebody share an insightful piece of feedback that they got. What was a key piece of feedback that somebody got? Not from me, not that mine was insightful, but from one of your classmates. Comment, question that was important? Yeah, Juan?
So So I was with Addie, and we were talking about the differences in our work like experiences. She was more focused on like being independent because of like her experiences with her family. So that was like contrasting thing between our both stories.
Okay. And I appreciate you, as you are starting to, hear other people's stories, as you're starting to make connections yourself and then providing feedback, that's a great connection, right? So you're providing some value. I know you're invested as a reviewer, when you're starting to do that. You don't want to just, be that person who everything that they do, you kind of one up them with an experience that you have. I mean, I'm doing that a little bit today consciously to kind of make the point on the connection, but you don't want to be overdoing it. And I'm not suggesting you are, Juan. It's good. Okay. I want to talk about the Good Time Journal next. And this is going to be the next piece, right? So identifying where you are, that was the compass. Looking at your views, kind of what you stand for, and we're going to continue to work through those throughout this week until you turn them in. And then Thursday, you'll have a chance to go through those worksheets, put together both your work and your life view. The more of a draft you have together, the more feedback you're going to be able to get ahead of the draft or ahead of the final copy that you're going to turn in on Saturday. So now that we've kind of been through this in pieces, I'm looking for the life view to be almost all put together, right? And if you have questions about one piece or another, feel free to come in for the feedback on Thursday, and we can do that. So we'll be prepared to present to the whole group, and we'll start that way for a few of them, and then we might have a chance to be able to break out into twos. In terms of the Good Time Journal, so this is the new content here, and really what you're trying to do. I talked about that vivid experience is one to be able to share with somebody, but you can't share a vivid experience unless you've had it, right? Unless you recognize and feel it, right? And so the Good Time Journal is basically to be able to determine where you are and where you're going. And in doing so, you're going to be looking for a few things, right? You're going to be looking for activities that you do already and where you are engaged. You're really paying attention and aware and kind of engrossed in what it is that you're doing. A really high level of engagement is called flow. That is when you are just in complete involvement, knowing what to do, you're at peace, you are immersed and time stands still, right? You do this when you're having a great conversation with somebody. If you're doing something you really, if there's a task or something that you really enjoy, that's flow, right? Also want you to be able to pay attention to the energy that you have. Does the activity give you energy or does it drain your energy? And you can have worthwhile activities being able that do either of those things. You can also have, what we really are trying to get is joy. What excites you, brings you to life. This is kind of, and this is one I want you to pay attention to, because consistently one of the things that you mentioned that you didn't have a lot of as you're adjusting it to the workload and everything that you're doing now is joy. Or maybe you did, which is one of the reasons that probably 11 of you talked about procrastination, right? So there's some joyful things that are keeping you from getting at your work to the last minute. But whatever they are, you want to be able to engage. You want to know what your experience is. And one of the ways that they suggest this in the book, and this dovetails on the piece that I put together earlier on, is this mnemonic A-E-I-O and U, right? So that when you are characterizing an activity in your journal, one, what is the activity that you're doing? Was it structured? What role did you play? How much detail can you give about that activity? What was the environment like? Where were you? How did it make you feel? What did it smell like? What did the grass feel like on your feet? Or the snow? How cold were you? Who were you with? Was it formal? Was it informal? Were you wearing masks? Were you socially distanced? Was there props or tools involved? We were skiing, we were sledding, we were playing pool, we were using our phones. Who else was there and what were their roles? Right? So if you get stuck, if there's something that you were doing, you were spending time on, and you're trying to determine, Hey, I don't remember all those things in Dr. Romani's slide with the smiley faces, right? Just remember A, E, I, O, and U, right? Because I'm going to be asking you, these are the types of questions I've been asking and that you've been asking each other when you're putting together your journal, right? So really what the Good Time Journal is, it's an activity log. How are you spending your time between now and the 18th of February? The book suggests 3 weeks, and I would encourage you to continue to journal. If you have an existing journaling practice and you want to include this in it, feel free to do that. I've also included a worksheet that's in the Moodle form if you would like to print that off and to write what you're doing. The authors suggest writing, so do I, because it makes you think a little bit more when you're actually writing things down. If you want to type up a journal, like in an Excel spreadsheet or in a Word document, you can do that. Keep in mind, this is your ability to be able to reflect and capture your experiences is going to be based on what you remember. So this isn't something that you can do next Monday night or Tuesday afternoon before class because you got to get the Good Time Journal done for Dr. Romani. What I'm really asking you to do is to make a commitment over the next 10 days to be able to put this together. Because then what you're going to do is you're going to start to recognize themes and patterns and what might surprise you in terms of where your energy is going, what engages you, where you are in flow, right? And providing feedback, right? So the form that I gave you, very similar to the one in the book, if you have the activity and what you were doing, and then there are these gauges next to it where you're identifying whether you have high level of engagement or low level of engagement, high level of energy, or if it's taking energy away from you in the gray. You want to identify the activities that are giving and taking energy from you. The more detailed you can be, the better. I'm going to have you check in, and we'll do one of these on Tuesday. On Thursday. We'll do one of these on Tuesday, where I'm going to ask you to describe an activity from today, something that you engage in, could be something novel, an activity where you've experienced flow, and identify the energy and engagement for each. So something you do all the time, where you go and get your breakfast, for instance, or going to a class, and then something where you really have a lot of flow in putting that together. Okay, there's an example here in the lecture of some from me that I use. For the next class, prepare for the feedback on your work and your life views, your origin stories, your statement of coherency and areas of feedback that you want, and begin your written Good Time journals, right? And the guidelines for the statements of coherency are on this slide. These are the things I'd like you to start to get at towards Thursday. These are pieces that will be, points and pieces of what you turn on Saturday. Thanks for the engagement this afternoon, everybody. Have a great week. I will see you on Thursday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.